Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Tech Conference 2014. My name is Shantanu Kaushik, and I am the moderator of today's session. I will assist you with any logistical issues you may have. You could use the seating color option to seek out help. Just change it to red, and I would reach out to you for assistance. Also, make sure to keep your microphones on mute. If you have any questions, you could post it on the Q&A panel. I'm monitoring the Q&A panel and would have the speaker respond to it as and when possible. We will run through a quick poll now to check if all of you can hear the audio. Please vote in the poll and confirm if you guys can hear the audio. Sure. So it looks like everybody can hear the audio right now. So in this session, MVP Senthil Kumar, who is an expert in client dev, will take you through his session. Talking about the MVP or Most Valuable Professional Award, it is our way of saying thank you to exceptional independent community leaders who share their passion, technical expertise, and real-world knowledge of Microsoft products with others in the community. I'm sure you will enjoy the session today, so let me not take more time and hand over the session to our today's speaker, MVP Senthil Kumar. Over to you, Senthil.
Thanks, Shantanu. Hey folks, welcome to the VTC Conference 2014, and I welcome you all for my session on app-to-app communication in Windows Phone 8. This session is targeted at the Windows Phone developers who wants to integrate and implement app-to-app communication in their Windows Phone app. So without wasting much time on the introduction part, let me get on to the next slides. About me, well, I'm Senthil Kumar. I work for a company called Trivium eSolutions Bangalore. I'm a Microsoft MVP in client development. I'm a B.NETer and one of the regular members of the Bangalore.NET user group. B.NET stands for Bangalore.NET user group. It is one of the premier and active user groups in Bangalore where we meet up once in a month and do some kind of user group meets at the Microsoft campus in Bangalore. I share some of my Windows Phone and mobile development findings in my blog mobileosgeek.com, and in case if someone wants to reach out to me, you can reach out via my Twitter handle @isenthil. So let's get back to the agenda for today's session. First, let's try to understand what exactly is app-to-app communication. That will be the first topic here. And then we'll also get to know why we need app-to-app communication. We'll also see how to implement app-to-app communication in Windows Phone by getting deep into the file and protocol association. And those are the two ways in which the developers can use the app-to-app communication feature in their phone. And then we'll also see the step-by-step procedure of how to integrate them into your app as well. Lastly, we'll also look into some of the built-in apps and how to launch the built-in apps from your application as well. And we'll also get to see some kind of demo as well. So what is app-to-app communication? In simple terms, app-to-app communication means an ability for an app to communicate with another application. Applications often communicate with other applications, right? For example, take an email application, for example. When the user taps and opens when the user receives an email with a PDF file as an attachment, he taps and opens the attached PDF file from the email. And this will be opened by a PDF viewer on a phone. This is a simple example of how an app-to-app communication works. There could be even various other scenarios as well where your app-to-app communication can be integrated. In the previous versions of Windows Phone, there were no built-in way for the app to communicate with other apps in the device, or there were no other means for the app to get associated, say, with a particular file extension. Mostly they were launchers and choosers, which would generally be used to launch built-in apps like Email Composer, or if you want to send an SMS, or you want to add a contacts, like that. Right. Fortunately, with the Windows Phone 8 SDK, we have this support for app-to-app communication as well by using the file association or protocol association. App-to-app communication is generally to enhance the user experience with the phone, and it also provides an easy and better solutions for apps providing services outside its boundary. The file association, if you take file association as an example, it would allow to associate your app with the files that have a specific file extension. For example, you can have a file extension, say .senthil, and you can associate that extension to your app. And whenever another user tries to open a file with a similar extension of .senthil, your app will be launched automatically. Right? The protocol association allows the app to send messages to other apps that have been subscribed to a particular URI protocol. These features will generally allow us to share data between apps and also integrate the inter-app communication from your application. So let's see a quick demo of the app-to-app communication of how the built-in PPT file can be opened via our application. Let me share the screen. Right. So in my application, what I have is a simple PPT file which has been included as a part of my application for just a demo. So when I want to open the PPT file or the PowerPoint presentation file, what I'll do is I'll use the launcher. Let me open the main page here. I have a button here called Launch PPT. So what it does is, let me go back to the code behind just a second. Yeah. So what this does is it tries to find out if there are any PPT files in my project folder, and if there are one, then I pick the first PowerPoint presentation and then launch that PowerPoint file. And this file will be launched in the Microsoft PowerPoint, which is available in the Windows Phone emulator here. So let me run the application. Let me go back to the application here. This is the application that I've built. It's VTC 2014 app. It's launching. So it's taking time. Let me rebuild and then run the application again. So let me say debug and start new instance. Okay, it says target device. Yeah. So now when I tap on the launch PPT button, I would generally see my PowerPoint presentation being shown on the emulator, which means the the Microsoft PowerPoint application is being launched and the PowerPoint file has been shown within the other application here. So now I can use this slide for my presentation as well. Right? So that's the way the app-to-app communication works. This is in a very simple terms. So let me go back to the slide now. Yeah, so what we saw was a simple PowerPoint file being opened on a PowerPoint viewer within the emulator. Now, how do we integrate even our own file extension, associate our own app with a particular file extension, right? One of the good features of the file and protocol association is that it allows you to delegate responsibility of handling a particular file or a message to a different application. Example, when an app encounters a file type that it cannot handle, right? Say, for example, a PDF file. It will ask the operating system to generally say, hey, launch this file. Then the operating system will then try to identify within the device which are the applications that have the associated app, the file types have been associated to an application. If there is an app been found, for example, a PDF viewer has been found, then it will simply launch that app and pass the file to that application. So the file extension association will generally allow to automatically launch the app when the user tries to open a file of a registered file type. There are various sources from which the file data or the file can come in from. It can be, say, an email attachment, or it can be a link from an web browser, or it can be an NFC tag, or it can be from another application, right? So how does the user experience with a file and a protocol association work? Right. When a file is launched from various sources that we saw in the previous slide, if there is only one app having a corresponding file or a protocol registration, the app will be launched automatically. If there are no apps that are associated with that particular file association, then the user will be offered an option to download one from the store. If there are multiple apps are installed with a registered file association, then the user will be provided the option to launch a particular app. If you see this example here, I have received an email from Eventbrite saying that there is an event. I have registered for an event and I got a ticket as well for that event as an attachment in my email. So now I want to launch or I want to open this PDF here. So when I tap on the file, what happens is the file will be opened by the PDF viewer on the phone, which means there is only one application within the phone which has the .pdf file being associated with it. What if there are no applications being installed? What if there is no PDF viewer on your phone? When you tap, you'll be provided this option to say search for an app in the store. So when you say yes, you'll be listed out with the apps that supports the similar file extension associated apps. If I have more than two apps or more than one app, right, which can detect or read PDF files or which has the .pdf extension associated with it, then I'll be provided with the option that you see here in the image here. So now I can choose the app. Say, let me open the PDF file, whether in an Adobe Reader or in a PDF Reader. So the user has the control to say there are more than one app being associated with this file. Let me select which app needs to show this data. So that's what you see here in the third image on the right hand side, where the image being opened in the Adobe Reader. Right. So auto launching with file extension association can be done with very few simple steps. The first and foremost step or a task is to register the file association. You should define all the necessary file types associated for your application, and we need to define this in the application Windows Phone apps WM app manifest.xml file. The next step would be to recognize the incoming file launch URI and then redirect the URI to a different page so that you can handle the request. And once the launching a file is a simple example that we saw in the previous demo, and let's move to the actual step to implement file extension association here. So adding a file association to the WM app manifest file .xml file. So the registration of the file needs to be done in this file, and you can find this file in the properties folder of your Windows Phone project. You need to open this in the XML editor from the Visual Studio. If you open this in the GUI designer, then you might not be able to see the right option. So you might need to open this in the XML editor, and you need to include or add the extensions tag. And this extensions tag that you see here should appear immediately after the tokens element. If you're trying to place the extensions tag somewhere else on the same manifest file, you'll be getting a compiler error. And you have a maximum of 20 file associations that you can do for your application here. So simply say what is the file file type association name here, you provide a proper name, and you need to define the task ID. Task ID will be underscore default, and this is, you cannot change this as well. The same thing applies even for the nav URI fragment as well, which has the keyword file token and which gets the string here, %s. And the %s is nothing but the unique identifier that you get for your file name. You can also define different logo for the file association type that you're going to do. And the file type that I have defined is .temp. So whenever a user tries to, so whenever the user tries to launch a file of type .temp, my application will be launched, and I'm going to use the file association that is defined here, and I'm going to write my logic to see what I should be doing with this file type. Right. So okay, this is about the logos that we saw in the previous slide. So we saw there are 3 different logo types that we defined. Generally, we say small, and we define the image of type, say 33 by 33 pixels. And wherever you have an email attachment, you'll generally see this kind of logos being shown or icons being shown. The same thing for medium. Suppose if you are having a Office Hub or you want to show something like a list view, then you need to have an image of say 69 by 69 pixels. And if you want to use it in a browser download, and then you'll be having like a 176 by 176. It's an optional. It's just an optional field for you to define the logos for your file extension. But if you define one logo, for example, say small, then it is mandatory that you also define the logo for even medium as well as large as well, right? Or else you'll be getting errors while running the app. So as we discussed before, by associating your app with the file extension, the phone sends out a request to open any files of the registered type of to your app. What it does is it launches your app and then provides a deep URI which also contains the file token, which is like an unique identifier or a GUID for retrieving the file from the storage. Now, our app has to recognize this and launch the URI and redirect to a page that can handle this request. The URI generally contains the text /file type association that you see here, and it also contains the file token query string parameter, which is nothing but the unique GUID or a unique identifier for the file. When your app is launched as a part of the file association, you may use the URI mapper to redirect to a page designed to handle it. So let's go. So now, you have identified that you have received a file, the deep link URI. Now you need to handle this now. So now I need to, this is already there in the query string. Now within the query string, I also get the file token. The first step would be to identify if the query string has the file token keyword, which means the navigation was via the file association, or else we could assume that the navigation was not via the file association, it was via some other mechanism. Then we try to get the unique identifier of the file, and then we get the shared file name based on the token or the GUID that we got via the query string, and then we copy that file to the local folder or the private folder here, and then we can do whatever the operation that we need to do within our application and then show it on the screen. So launching the file was something that we already saw in the previous example where I showed you how to launch a PowerPoint file, right? This will generally be done on the other application. For example, if application A is our application where we are defining the file association, in this example .temp, whenever a .temp file is opened, I launch application A. So there should be other applications, say application B, which will launch this file. So this has to be done in the application B here. So what you see here is I'm just giving the path to the file, getting the file, and I'm launching that file. When this is triggered, when this launch file async method is called, the file1.temp would be opened, and this will be opened in the application A, which is associated to the .temp file. So let's go back to the demo now. Let me share the desktop here, and let me come back. So how do I create the file association? The first step to create the file association would be the project is already created here. So I expanded the property. This is a project where I'm going to say file association handler is the project name. I need to associate .temp file to this project. So to do that, the first step would be to expand the properties folder. There is this wm app manifest.xml file. By default, when you double click on this, it will open up the file in the GUI designer. We should be opening this in the XML editor. So let me go back, say open with XML text editor, and say OK. Right. So now when you expand or when you scroll down, you see that I've added the extension here, extension tag, and I've also said this is the file association that I'm going to define. And I also said the name of the file association would be temp file association, and the type would be .temp, like the way we saw on the screenshot, right? So now this, along with this, I also have to define a URI mapper. So what the URI mapper will generally do is it will try to identify the incoming URI and determine whether the URI comes from, whether it's a file association protocol or it's just a general navigate URI, and then we can perform our own custom operation here. So I've written a custom URI. So what it does here is I have to override a method called map URI, which takes the parameter URI, that's the incoming URI here. And I also check if the URI contains file type association. Once I find that, I want to find what is the unique ID of that file. So once I determine the unique ID here, I get that file name, and once I get that file name, I say just pass that ID or the file ID to the main page.xaml. The main page is defined here. So this main page has just a text block here. So whatever the text that I'm gonna have in my .temp file will be shown on the screen here. So I have another client application, which is a different application, which would like to call my application here and say via the file association. So I have a file called hello world temp within the VTC24 app underscore PPT. So I have a simple text which says, hi, welcome to VTC 2014. Right? So now I need to launch this file, hello world.temp, from VTC24 app, which will trigger the file association handler, and it will launch and display this text in the file association handler project. So let me go to this screen here. So the launching of the file, the logic is exactly the same like the way we saw how to launch a PPT file or a PowerPoint presentation file. Simply I identify the hello world.temp file, get the first, there is only one file here, so obviously you'll get just one file, and then I'm going to launch that file. So let's see what happens when I launch this file here. So let me go back to the emulator, and I have a button called open file, and this is what is the code that is written in the background here to launch the hello world.temp. So let me launch open file. Right. So what you saw now is a file association handler project is being triggered, or it's been opened, and the control is passed to the main page.xaml in the file association handler, and the text hello welcome to VTC 2014 is being displayed in the file association handler project. So if you go to this, the main page, You'll also see the logic where it tries to identify whether it's a file token, and then I get the file, and once I get the file into my private storage, I try to read the file and I assign that to the text block onto the screen. So let me rerun this again to see if it really works again or not. So let me click on the open file, right? So again, you see the welcome to VTC 2014. So let me try to modify, let me try to go to the next slide now. I think that's more about the file association, what you saw here. So let me go to this. So you're 18. So the next feature that we're going to talk about is the protocol association. Okay, fine. We associated a file type called .temp, and we are able to pass the file from one application to other application, and then open the content onto the other application and view it. Is there any other way where I can transfer the data or a simple message from one application to other application? That's where the protocol association in Windows Phone comes in handy. The protocol association allows your app to automatically launch when an app uses the launcher API to launch the URI. And the URI generally has the protocol name which is associated with your app. For example, I can say my app is associated with a protocol called Mobile OS Geek. Mobile OS Geek is the protocol name. So then I can also pass the message saying that Mobile OS Geek, and then I can pass the complete string as well in the URI. So the auto launching with protocol association can be done with some simple steps again. First, you need to register your app for the protocol association. You'll again be using the WM app manifest file here. Once this is done, you need to detect the protocol and redirect it to a different page. And in that page, you write your own logic to say how am I gonna handle the message and show it to the user. The other apps can then launch the app via the protocol URI, as simple as it looks, right? So there are also certain reserved protocol names which cannot be used by the app for registration. We'll look into the reserved protocol names in the next slides. Right? So you should register a protocol association in your apps, in the application's WM app manifest file. This is the same procedure like the way we saw for file associations. You define the extensions tag, and within the extensions tag, you define the tag called a protocol, and then you define what is the name of the protocol that you need. In this case, I'm saying the protocol name is Mobile OS Geek, and I also define navigate URI here. Which is nothing but the encoded launch URI equal to %s, and you're not supposed to change this navigate URI fragment, whatever you see here. The same thing applies even for the task ID as well. You can't change the task ID as well, right? And the extensions element must again immediately be followed after the tokens element, or else you'll get an error. So let's go back to our demo, and now let's see how to integrate the protocols association within your application. So I'm going to open the same project here, and with the same project, what I'm going to do is for the same procedure would be followed here in the app manifest.xml file. I'm going to define what is the protocol associated to my app. Whatever the code that you saw in the slides is what you see here. The protocol name is Mobile OS Geek. So now when this will be the associated protocol for my file association handler now. So now once this is done, I need to say from the other application, I need to give this protocol URI to a user. Maybe if he's launching our application from his application, I need to say, I need to use the launcher API, and then say Mobile OS Geek will be a part of the URI, and I need to say what is the exact message that I'm going to send to the file association handler. So that will be done at the VTC24 or the client app, or the source app, which is going to trigger the protocol association of our defined application here. So that can be seen here. So that's behind the send message. So what you see here is a launcher API or the launcher class, which includes a simple method called launch URI async. And with the URI, I'm also saying what is the protocol name. In this case, it's Mobile OS Geek. And I'm also saying what is the message name with the colon symbol. It says this is a VTC sim session. So once this is passed, once this line of code is executed in the VTC24 app, you should see the control being passed to the file association handler application. So once the control comes back to the file association handler, the control will generally come to the URI mapper here. So with the URI, I'll be able to determine whether the control or the navigation was via the protocol. Earlier we saw the navigation was via file type association. There are even various other ways where the navigation can happen. So I need to also tap that and say, okay, the navigation is from the protocol association, and then get to know what is the launched URI here. Once I get the launched URI, I also get the string or the associated string out of it. So then I pass that to the main page.xaml. What you see here. So in the main page.xaml, still I also identify whether the navigation was from the encoded launch URI. If that is so, then I get the data from the query string and then show that in the message box. So simply now when I run the application, that's a VTC24 app, and then click on the send message app, you should see that the message box in the file association handler will be triggered, and this will show the message what is defined when you're calling the protocol. So let's go back to the application here. Let me launch the VTC 2014 app. So let me click on the send message. So now what you saw is a message box or a screen that is being present in the file association handler. So this is a screen here, and this is the control that you're going to see. So the message that you received was from the VTC 2014 app, which has been passed on to the file association handler, and this has been shown here. So that was about the file association. Let me switch back to the slide. Okay. So there are also various other reserved protocols names which already exist, and some of these protocol names are reserved for built-in apps. For example, OneNote or HTTP or telephone for TEL. And there are also few other protocol names reserved for the operating system. Something like a file, telnet, etc. So as a user, you should not be attempting to register your app with the reserved protocol names. If you're trying to register your app with the reserved protocol names, and then that will be ignored. And when a URI is launched, and if it contains a protocol name which is already reserved for a built-in app or by an operating system, then only the built-in app is launched and your app will not be getting the precedence. So the last part of the app-to-app communication was how do I launch the built-in apps, right? In the previous versions of Windows Phone, that's Windows Phone 7, 7.5, and even now with Windows Phone 8, we have various launchers and choosers, right? These are the ways where the developers can use and launch the built-in apps. For example, I want to launch the settings app of the phone device. I can use that using launcher. I can also use the launcher to launch the SMS composer or an email composer app, right? So we also have something called choosers, which can launch an app, get the data, and then get the data back to your application. So choosers are also possible. Now with Windows Phone 8, we have the mechanism where we can use the URI schemes to launch the applications or the built-in applications here. So we use the launcher.launch URI async, like the way we saw in the previous demo of the protocol association, how to launch a protocol. Similarly, we'll also be using the same method to launch the built-in apps. Microsoft has already defined few set of URI schemes which is available in MSDN, which can be used by the developers to launch the built-in apps. For example, if I need to launch the Wi-Fi settings app of your device, so I can simply say launch URI and say new URI, and I can define whatever the URI that was given, say ms-settings-wi-fi : and when this particular code is executed, you will see that the Wi-Fi settings app of your device will be launched. So let's go back to a demo to see how this works. So let me switch the sharing screen here. So let me go to the main page. And in the settings screen, what I'm going to do now is just write this code here to say launch URI async and say Microsoft ms-settings-location. So in the slide, what you saw was a Wi-Fi setting. So when we wanted to launch a Wi-Fi setting screen, we use that. So now when I use this URI scheme, this will launch a setting screen where I can enable or disable the location services in my application. So let me run this, and so now let me tap on the settings screen. So now what you saw was the location services application was open now. So launcher does the same thing, just opens the application and it doesn't get any data back to your application. So now I can disable the location services, and then I can come back to my application now. So with this, the user is in more control of, say, what exactly he needs to do. It's not that the location services is been disabled in the background. We only launch the location services app, and the user can decide whether the location services can be enabled or disabled. Right? So similarly, there are even various other URI schemes. For example, where if you need to open the account settings app, or if you want to open the Bluetooth settings app or a cellular settings app, or even if you want to open the email account settings app, right? So you still have various URI schemes which is defined by Microsoft in the MSDN, which you will be able to use it and integrate within your application as well. So let me these are the three mechanisms where app-to-app communication can be integrated into your application. What is the first thing was the file associations, and then we have protocol associations, and then we have this launching of the built-in apps via the launcher API here. So how do I get going from here? How do I know more about the learning about the app-to-app communication? There is this building apps for Windows Phone 8 Jumpstart tutorials, which is a video tutorial series which is available in Channel 9 MSDN, which you can view it. And there is a specialized video on app-to-app communication, which is really good. And there is another good article from Matt where he has written about, where he has collated different Windows Phone apps in the marketplace, which supports the file association or the protocol association, and he has also given a good number of URI schemes which the other developers can use to call those apps as well. And there is this Windows Phone 8 training kit, which can be downloaded from the Microsoft Download Center, which is also another great tutorials or a training kit to start developing Windows Phone 8 apps, and especially even the app-to-app communication as well. So that's all I have for the day. If there are any questions, I can take up any questions if there are one. Chandra, are there any questions? Are there any questions?
So there are no questions right now. Let me remind the attendees that if you wish to ask any questions from the presenter, you can always use the Q&A panel at the top and ask questions there. We'll be waiting 2 more minutes for any questions to appear in the Q&A panel. All right, so it seems there is no questions. So thank you, Senthil, for your valuable time today and for delivering the useful topic. I hope the
Yeah.
audience have enjoyed the session. And
Thanks, Shantanu. Thanks, Shantanu, and thanks, Microsoft, and thanks, Biplab and team for providing me an opportunity to be part of this VTC conference. Thank you.
I would also like to mention here that feedback is very important in planning these sessions, and we would request all our attendees to provide feedback. You can do that by participating in the survey that will be sent to you by the events team and with in an email with a link to the survey. Please do make it. Thank you, and looking forward to seeing you in the next event we do. Thanks a lot for joining in.
Thank you.